Tonight on Reporting Scotland, the families of murder victims fight for changes to the parole system. The killers of Suzanne Pilley and Arlene Fraser have never revealed where their bodies are. Their relatives want this taken into account.
His crime is still continuing. He's perpetrating a crime against us.
He controlled Arlene when she was alive, and he's controlling her when she's dead.
Also on tonight's programme, hundreds of former workers at collapsed house builder Stuart Milne Group receive compensation. More than 1,000 are still without power after Storm Florence battered the country earlier this week.
Coming up in tonight's sport, Russell Martin says Rangers can still get much better after their 3-0 win over Victoria Pilsen in the Champions League qualifiers.
Hello, a very warm welcome to Sports Scene.
And Archie and the gang reunite as Scottish football's iconic highlight show Sports Scene turns 50. Hello, I'm Laura Goodwin. Welcome to Wednesday's programme. The families of 2 murder victims have spoken of the mental torture of not knowing where their bodies are as they campaign for a change in the law surrounding parole. Arlene Fraser and Suzanne Pilley disappeared 12 years apart at opposite ends of the country. The men convicted of killing them have refused to say what happened to the 2 women. With both nearing the end of their life sentences, Arlene and Suzanne's families want that to be taken into account when they're considered for parole. Our Home Affairs correspondent David Cowan reports.
These families share a terrible bond, bereaved through murder, then suffering years of tortuous uncertainty, because the person they lost has never been found and the person responsible won't say where they are.
His crime is still continuing. He's perpetrating a crime against us. We're still dealing with this every day. It's there constantly, and he has information that could just put us at ease and bring Suzanne home.
Arlene Fraser vanished in Elgin in 1998. Her husband Nat was convicted of her murder after standing trial twice and is eligible for parole in 2028.
I feel that he controlled Arlene when she was alive, and he's controlling her when she's dead. It's a form of mental torture for us.
That's right.
It really is. I don't like using dramatic words, but it is. He has that information, there's no doubt about it.
Suzanne Pilley disappeared in Edinburgh in 2010, murdered by her ex-lover David Gilroy. For him, parole becomes a possibility in 2030.
Her life has been cut short. She really wanted a family, and she's never been given that. And we miss her every day. So that's really why we're doing it.
Both men have never admitted their guilt. Both won't reveal where their victims are. Suzanne and Arlene's families, brought together by Victim Support Scotland, want a change in the law.
What it means is that the parole board in these situations must consider that information as part of their decision. It compels them to do that in a way that the current wording in the rules does not.
Thanks to this MSP, the change is now part of legislation going through Holyrood. But some argue it's not required, and the parole board says it will be just one part of their decision-making process.
There's a moral obligation on politicians to deliver justice for these families. Families have waited for too long to see the law change here in Scotland. It's about time we do this.
The parole board rules are prescriptive, they're set out, they're clear as to what a parole board requires to do, and it's already in there. It's already something that the parole board that is considering this issue must take into account.
But much depends on the other evidence available in the case. We wouldn't focus on a single piece of evidence. The courts tell us we should apply a 360-degree approach to assessing risks. That's we take account of everything.
Today, Arlene and Suzanne's families put their case to the politician in charge of Scotland's justice system. She assured them the change will be made.
The ongoing suffering for these families as a result of the location of their loved ones not being disclosed is an act of utter contempt. And In many ways, words almost fail me as to why anyone would do that to a grieving family.
David Cowan.
David is with us now. While this change would be welcomed by the families, they would actually like this to go further.
Yes, the Scottish Government's confident that the change that we're talking about can be done before the holiday election in May. And the families are saying it's a step in the right direction, but they do want to go a lot further. They're pointing to Australia, where some states have introduced a no body, no parole rule, which would mean killers, convicted killers like Nat Fraser and David Gilroy wouldn't be released unless they revealed where their victims were. That would be way beyond where we are in Scotland at the moment, but clearly, you know, committing murder and then concealing the body, never telling anyone where they are, is an exceptionally cruel act. It prolongs the uncertainty for the families, which we could see today in that press conference. The mental torture for the families never goes away. It was also clear today that Angela Constance found her meeting with the families an emotional experience, and they told us today that she told them that she would listen to any suggestions that they have to make.
OK, David Cowan, many thanks indeed. Around 200 workers who lost their jobs when house builder Stuart Milne collapsed have now received a share of £1 million in compensation. The Aberdeenshire-based firm went into administration in January last year. It's understood workers, some who had been with the company for decades, will now receive around £5,000 each. Rebecca Curran reports.
James Brander devoted more than 4 decades of his life to Stuart Milne. But in January last year, everything changed when the company suddenly went into administration. The painter and decorator was one of more than 200 people to lose their jobs overnight.
I was sad because I enjoyed my work. I mean, I'm up at 5:30 every morning and home to 6 o'clock at night. So I mean, I had a 12.5-hour day every day kind of thing. And I enjoyed my work, and I love working for Stuart Milne because the people who worked with Stuart Milne were ace, again. Really nice. Again.
Construction ground to a halt at sites like this across Scotland. Workers were given no notice and urged to apply for compensation from the UK government. Now those efforts are paying off for more than 200 former employees.
Well, these workers were all dismissed without any consultation or any warning. And after what has been a very hard-fought battle over the best part of 18 months, they finally received in total about £1 million, which is about £5,000 each, and they're all absolutely delighted.
It was once a name synonymous with Scottish house building, but the former Stuart Milne HQ here in Aberdeen has stood empty since the company collapsed. Now, in a twist of fate, it's set to be demolished to make way for new homes. Today, Mr. Milne declined to comment on the compensation payments. James says the compensation has been a welcome boost.
It's some money we didn't know we were getting, so when it came through, it's amazing to get it. As for Stuart Milne, it's a shame they're finished, but they say all good things come to an end.
Now retired, James is enjoying being a full-time grandad. Tenio, the administrators of Stuart Milne Group, declined to comment. Rebecca Curran, reporting Scotland, Aberdeenshire.
Some of the day's other stories now. Firefighters worked through the night to tackle a blaze at a scrapyard in Elgin. The alarm was raised just after 10:30 last night at the premises on Moycroft Road. Police say road closures are in place around the area. Any businesses in the industrial estate that remain open are being advised to keep their windows and doors closed. 3 Albanian men have been convicted of operating a cannabis factory at a derelict shopping centre in North Ayrshire. Elton Skenderi, Jovalan Toma and Edward Deja pleaded guilty after thousands of plants were seized at the former Irvine Forum in September 2024. The High Court in Glasgow heard the cannabis was valued at over £600,000. Midure has cancelled his upcoming tour due to a health issue needing urgent treatment. The Ultravox singer from Cambuslang near Glasgow wrote on social media that he'll perform in August but will take time off from September. He said any cancelled gigs would be rescheduled and that he was truly sorry for any inconvenience caused. Now, Storm Floris may have blown through, but the damage left in its wake is still causing problems. The latest update tonight is that nearly 1,500 homes are still without power. Operators say they're working hard to get homes reconnected. Well, Cameron Angus Mackay is in fire in the Highlands for us this evening. Cameron, what is the latest where you are?
Yeah, good evening. Well, this is one of the affected areas in the Highlands, and in some neighbouring villages, people face a third night without electricity. SSEN, the power company responsible for the grid, say they've reconnected 70,000 customers. Nearly 1,500 properties are still to go. The majority of those are in the Highlands. Now, people are being supported through welfare vans where they can go and get some hot food and drink. And SSEN is saying it is knocking on the doors of vulnerable customers to make sure that they're okay. I've been taking a closer look at the engineering operation. Engineers have been tackling a series of complex faults, trying to reconnect power lines. It's challenging physical work involving specialist equipment.
More than 700 engineers working flat out to reconnect customers as quickly as they can. We are hoping that the majority of customers will be reconnected this evening, but there will still be some customers that are without power into tomorrow. But 700 engineers working around the clock really to get those customers reconnected as quickly as we possibly can.
Some households in the north are facing a third night without power. They're being supported by welfare vans in affected areas.
Yesterday was very, very busy. Today it's been a bit quieter. It's mostly people coming down to fill flasks for the hot water because we've got the hot water on and the juices and stuff like that. A lot of people have done the whole night. So they've been coming down, but it's been a bit quieter today, but not too much. I think we've maybe about 120 people today, I would say, in total.
Some people have been using camping stoves to cook meals and staying with neighbours.
Lost our power at about midday Monday. I think the last we'd seen an update's not due back till sort of tomorrow night. Got things like candles and sort of food in the pantry and that kind of thing, but not having the power for a few days has been a bit rough. Yeah.
Is there any compensation available for people affected by Storm Floris?
The first of these is compensation for food and drink for households that have been left without power following the storm. The onus is on the individuals in the household to submit this claim. Other type of compensation the households will be entitled to is an automatic form of compensation. Now, this happens if the household is without power continuously for over 48 hours.
In rural parts of the Highlands, communities without power are hoping the lights are switched back on again tonight. Cameron Angus Mackay, reporting Scotland.
Tonight's main news again. The families of murder victims Suzanne Pilley and Arlene Fraser fight for changes to the parole system.
And still to come in the sport, we speak to the 24-year-old medical student who pipped Olympic silver medalist Laura Muir to the 1500 metres title at the UK Championships.
Well, Amy is with us now. What is coming up on the 7 tonight?
Plenty on the programme. As always, Laura, we're going to be talking about the condition ME, which is estimated it affects 50,000 Scots, but there are still huge questions as to what actually causes this chronic condition that can leave sufferers with fatigue, chronic pain, brain fog. And this evening, there is hugely significant, that's what's been described as research that's been released by Edinburgh University. So the lead researcher is going to join us on the programme just as this news is announced to tell us more about it.
OK, very important discussion to have. Thank you very much indeed, Amy. Now, an army of rural workers is being equipped to tackle wildfires. Just last month, a wildfire in the Cairngorms, estimated to be the largest Scotland has ever seen, was tackled by more than 100 workers from rural businesses operating alongside the fire service. Their growing expertise is now being matched with firefighting equipment funded by the National Park Authority. Our environment correspondent Kevin Keane reports.
It was one of the biggest wildfires Scotland has ever experienced. 112 square miles of land around Davert and Carbridge destroyed with the fire burning for 11 days. These fires take up a lot of the emergency service's time and resources, and they can't do it alone. This converted slurry tank was being operated by one of 5 workers who pitched in from the Alvey estate at Kingussie, some 30 miles from the fire. In fact, more than 100 rural workers from 34 local businesses helped out, with even more demand being placed on their time.
We've certainly seen it increasing. 2019 we had the biggest wildfires ever recorded in Britain. This year we had a bigger fire again, so it's building up. And speaking to the Portuguese Fire and Rescue Service, they've been saying that we're probably only 20 years behind them in having loss of life.
Among the equipment bought by the National Park is this converted slurry tank. The water jet on top allows them to fire large volumes of water on the flames from a safe enough distance to protect the workers. More equipment is being bought for estates this year, with the threat of fires being taken extremely seriously.
It's absolutely crucial we have that combination of the public and private sector, and I suppose what we're trying to do with the integrated wildfire management plan for the park, with things like the fire bylaws that we're proposing, and then with the climate adaptation fund, is to show the park authority is helping to do these things as well on the ground.
Dozens of pieces of privately owned kit like this were brought out to fight last month's fire. With the threat of wildfires increasing, equipping this growing rural army of firefighters is seen as vital for the protection of our countryside. Kevin Keane reporting Scotland, Kingussie.
Well, time now to get all tonight's sport with Sheila.
Thank you very much, Laura. Yes, let's start with European football. And Rangers head coach Russell Martin says his side can still get much better after a 3-0 win against Victoria Pilsen put the Ibrox club in the driving seat to progress to a Champions League playoff versus either Salzburg or Club Brugge. Martin has also earned praise from a Rangers legend for laying an early marker down by leaving some key players out from last night's starting 11 following Saturday's draw at Motherwell. Kenny Crawford has more.
At the end of the day, a goal is a goal. But when it arrives at the conclusion of a slick passing move, which began at your goalkeeper, it always helps.
Aaron's trying to get Ant-Man in behind here, and he has found him. It's a great ball as well, and there's number 3! And he can do no wrong. Jahidi Gassama. Rangers well on course for the playoffs.
It was the most put together performance we've had for sure, with the ball and without. So the reaction to losing the ball was great. With the ball, moved it much quicker, but we are going to get much better than that. So I'm really pleased, but there's still so much to do and so much to work on. We're so early on, but for the guys to put on a performance like that this early, after a difficult time on Saturday and in such a game that means so much, I'm really proud of it.
The rejigged 11 had read the manager's unmistakable memo after that misery at Motherwell, and someone who sat in the Ibrox dugout long before Martin reckons he made the right call.
He's got his message across. These are my standards. Who else matters when you're talking about the level of, commitment and the level of effort? Who else is there to talk about it? It's down to him. If he's not happy with it, he's entitled to say what he wants about it. And I personally think it was right. Get it out of the way on day one. This is what I want.
What Martin desires now are similar standards away to Dundee on Saturday. Kenny Crawford, reporting Scotland.
Scotland defender Grant Hanley could make his debut for Hibernian in tomorrow night's Conference League qualifier in Belgrade after signing for the Easter Road side on a 2-year deal. Hanley has played 62 times for his country and has spent his entire senior career in England with years of Premier League experience. Hibs will arrive in Serbia today ahead of their first leg against Partizan, with David Gray backing his side to reach the next stage of the competition.
It's something that's not been done, and I keep challenging the players to try and change history in positive ways. There's an opportunity to do it. It's going to be really difficult, we know that. But the players are capable. I believe in them. I believe we can do it. But it's going to take huge efforts and maximum effort, performance levels, which we have demonstrated already. We were unfortunate in the last round, but it needs to be there again.
Well, in the same competition, Dundee United boss Jim Goodwin is confident his side has what it takes to get through to the playoff round, but admits they'll need to be disciplined and organised when they take on Rapid Vienna tomorrow night. The United squad arrived in Austria a short time ago and are expected to be joined by more than 1,000 supporters for the first leg.
We're confident going into the tie. We have to be. We'll probably be in a different situation to the one we were in last week, where we were favourites, I think, against Strassen. whereas tomorrow night I'm pretty sure we'll be the underdogs in a lot of people's eyes. But I never approach a game with a negative mindset, and there's never an opposition that I don't believe we're capable of beating.
Now, the Dundee manager, Stephen Presley, insists he's paying no attention to the criticism prompted by his team's poor start to the season and says he's not moved to Dens Park to win a popularity contest. Presley joined the Premiership side in June but failed to lead them out of the group stage of the League Cup. A home defeat to Hibernian followed on the opening day of the Premiership season, with some Dundee fans booing their team off the pitch.
Everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be, yes, he's the greatest manager in the world. But the reality is, when we're in this profession, you have to accept that that's not always going to be the case. And when you're at a club also that, hasn't got a history of winning every single game, you're going to get that. Fans turn up every Saturday, no matter what the club is, expecting their team to win. But when you're at a club like Dundee, it's harder to win than at a club like Rangers.
Finally to athletics, and Scotland's new middle distance star Sarah Calvert is eyeing up 2 targets, making the Great Britain team for next month's World Championships and the Scottish team for next year's Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. After stunning Laura Muir and the best UK athletes to take the British 1500 metre title at the weekend, Calvert, who's also training to become a doctor, is struggling to come to terms with her success.
Yeah, it feels incredible, honestly. I did not expect this when I was, I didn't expect this ever to happen, but especially not with being busy in May, studying for exams. That was pretty stressful for me. And then at the beginning of the season, I think I took a while to sort of build into it. I started the season with running a bit slower than I would have liked, but I think as I've had summer and I've been had more time to relax and chill out, my performances have started to improve.
And you can see an extended interview with Sarah Calvert on Reporting Scotland News at 7.
Yeah, a remarkable story, that. Quick question before you go. Fond memories of watching Sports Scene as you were growing up?
Oh, yes. I didn't watch it from the very start.
No, you didn't. You're far too young
Maybe
for
some
that.
of the early years, but yeah, definitely. Especially the cup final afternoons. They were incredible.
Maybe brought you to where you are today, Sheila. Because indeed for 50 years, Sports Scene has been guiding its viewers through the highs and occasional lows of Scottish football. To celebrate that anniversary, some of the programme's best known faces are making a special comeback this weekend. Our sports news correspondent Chris McLaughlin reports.
For 50 years, it's been an iconic part of Scottish life, with iconic voices to match.
It is! As to the McCoist! It's a goal for Scotland! There's cross, a good one, that hits Livra! Maine's in trouble, there's Steve Kirk!
Aberdeen have definitely won the championship!
We're not that sure. To celebrate half a century, BBC Scotland is welcoming back some of those voices to commentate on this weekend's games. Lots of memories shared of the good and sometimes the challenging.
Well, at the moment, we are not quite sure whether we can get the Aberdeen game or not. I think I'd better find out if we cannot. Yes, I see. Okay, fine. Sorry about that. We have got this marvellous game ready.
I was quaking inside, I can tell you. You know, there has to be moments in television when you camouflage what's happening internally. Football is so important to our society. Our culture is permeated by football. Anywhere you can go in Scotland, you can talk about football.
We were lucky because the 80s in particular, which was 80s, 90s was a kind of my peak, if you like, it was a golden age for not just Scottish football, but Scottish sport. I mean, you don't have to think too hard to go back through Aberdeen and Dundee United emerging, Celtic winning the double in their centenary year, Graham Souness arriving. That was just football.
Could we see another 50 years of sports scene, do you think?
Certainly hope so. It's really important that it should last another 50 years. There will be challenges because things are changing so rapidly and it'll be very hard to forecast how things will be But I think it would be a much healthier country and a better situation altogether if it did survive another 50.
The last word, of course, can only go to one man.
That's all for tonight. It's now pouring at Dens Park. And you know, they really look after you nowadays. Let me introduce you to my mobile studio. This is the way to keep you dry nowadays. From all of us here and my mate, a very good night.
Chris McLaughlin, reporting Scotland.
Football and weather, very important to Scotland. Christopher, I don't want to steal your thunder, but tomorrow's looking quite nice, I think.
Yeah, and today wasn't too bad either. It was a little bit cloudy in the west, but as our weather watcher aptly named there, turned out nice again, proved. It did turn out nice again, didn't it? Thank you very much indeed. Good evening to you. Yes, we've had some decent spells of sunshine across much of the country today. The top hotspot, Aberdeen, at 22 degrees. Tonight, though, rain on the way. You can see on this pressure sequence a series of weather fronts moving in off the Atlantic, bringing a strengthening wind and outbreaks of rain. Initially, though, the next few hours, it's still dry and there'll be some spells of evening sunshine around as well. But you can see as we head overnight, the cloud and the rain moves in from the Atlantic and crosses the country. Heavy at times. Those winds will be fresh to strong from the south or southwest. The black arrows there indicating wind gusts, and temperatures in towns and cities 12 to 14 Celsius. First thing tomorrow, it's a blustery start with the overnight cloud and rain clearing. And then, as Laura suggested, it's a pretty decent day with some sunny spells around, a few showers at times too, but those tend to ease off into the afternoon, certainly across eastern parts of the country. So let's take a look at mid-afternoon, 4 o'clock, the warmest part of the day. Temperatures up to around 18 or 19 Celsius through central and southern Scotland. Fewer showers in the east through the afternoon, and once again Aberdeen seeing the highest temperatures, 21 degrees. Towards the west and northwest coast, windy here, 44-mile-an-hour gusts there for Stornoway, so we'll be blustering around the north and the west coast and across the islands too. Tomorrow evening, those showers still with us for a time and then fading away, but certainly looking to Friday, you can see we hold on to a cloudier zone across the Highlands and Islands and the Northern Isles with outbreaks of rain. Elsewhere, a little bit drier with a bit of brightness coming through at times too. And temperatures, once again, high teens or low 20s. Once again, it will be windy, particularly around the coast and across the higher ground. That takes us to Friday night, and we've got another weather front bringing some rain by night, working its way southwards. But the timing on that is open to doubt. It means it could well linger into Saturday. So certainly the first half of the weekend is one to watch. Hopefully it'll be dry. That's the forecast.
Christopher, thank you. Now, tonight's main news again. The families of murder victims Suzanne Pilley and Arlene Fraser are calling for changes to the law, which would mean killers who refuse to reveal the location of their victims' bodies could be refused parole. Amy will be here with your late news at around 10:30 tonight. Don't know then if you can. Bye-bye.